Will, you're next up.
Everyone, I'm Will, contributor to Lido. We'll be talking about the updates we just posted to the forums last week about the Simple DVT module and the test nets that are ongoing. So kicking things off on the OBLE side, you can see here there's three different tables. These are the testnet metrics that were analyzed per rated network. Really great news. So OBLE successfully passed all of the metrics that were being examined here. You can see on the left that chart minimum testnet success characteristics. So per the Simple DVT module proposal, these are the metrics that needed to be achieved for OBLE to move forward onto mainnet without having a revote or needing to do another testnet. So this included uptime of 95%, a block proposal success rate of 70% minimum, and then being above the average network attestation effectiveness. And so for the 45-day period, network attestation effectiveness was 78.8%. You can see on the right, the rightmost chart, the aggregate testnet metrics for all 32 clusters that participated. Uptime was almost 98%. The block proposal success rate was 71%, a bit above that. Attestation effectiveness was 84.5%. And validator effectiveness, which also includes some measurement of block proposals, was also 84.5%, slightly different at a lower decimal, but right in that same range. You can see that all of these metrics also beat the Haleski aggregate metrics for all validators on the network. You can see that in the middle chart, where we also have the validator effectiveness. So this is obviously very exciting. The OBLE technology has beat the metrics that were required to move forward onto mainnet. The testnet is currently in the process of wrapping up. All the validators at this point have been exited. We're doing the reward claiming process. I'll talk more about how this is working in a few moments. But basically, all of the participants receive their share of rewards via splitters, and they are testing the claiming process for this. So in terms of next steps for OBLE, we are currently working on a pretty extensive blog post that's going to really cover everything from the setup of clusters to the DKG process, to then the operations process. This will also include a lot of information about the cluster, the technology, the cluster and the technology, the DVT provider's performance in general. Following this, so the Lido node operator subgovernance group, which is the subcommittee of the DAO that's responsible for helping with onboarding rounds, will be meeting to discuss the potential clusters and participants that will move forward onto mainnet. When the LNOSG has this meeting, a summary of it and the proposed list of clusters will be published to the forums. We'll be looking to receive feedback from any DAO or community members on that list. And if there's no issue, then the participants will be okay to move forward onto mainnet. So as a reminder, the proposal initially calls for a total of 24 clusters, 12 from OBLE, 12 from SSV, within the first 30 days of going live. So that would be at least 72 net new node operators, assuming one curated node operator per cluster, which would be pretty encouraging. And then combined with SSV, would add about 100 net new node operators to the protocol just from the kickoff of the first 24 clusters. Over time, additional clusters will be added. There is a 30-day monitoring period with 5 validators each for the initial 30 days, and then those metrics will be slowly ramped up over the coming months. On the SSV side, so we are currently in the process of getting everything rolling. So the 32 clusters have been formed and DKGs were initially completed. There was a issue that occurred with 2 of the clusters where, and really this was a user error, and we've improved some of the checks around this given how transactions are being built in safe, where validators were registered initially to the wrong cluster. So these validators have all now been exited. DKGs, I believe, as of about 10 minutes ago, are all complete as well. And so the 30 to 45-day monitoring period will be kicking off in about probably 24 hours when validators are deposited to again. So in terms of this monitoring period, it takes into account either 2 periods. So the 30 to 45-day period from the activation of validators, or the 30 to 45-day period prior to exiting of validators. We have not done extensive analysis in the performance so far, as clusters are still all getting sorted. But in the next week, we should be able to raise key limits, assuming that attestation effectiveness, uptime, and block proposals are looking good. Given the number of validators on Pulaski, we don't get a great read on block proposal success rate from the initial 5 per cluster. But when we raise key limits to 50 validators each, we should start to see a lot more data from that side. So in general for SSV, this should last for about 4 to 6 weeks in terms of testing. And we'll have more updates to give both in the forums and probably on this call next month in terms of what is going on in this testnet. But the goal here is for the Simple DVT module to be deployed within Q1 and for both OBOL and SSV node operators, assuming SSV also is able to achieve these metrics, to be live on mainnet, running validators via the Lido protocol within Q1 as well. Similar to OBOL, there will also be a blog post here covering the details from cluster formation to the monitoring period. There's a few other updates, and so this is all covered more extensively, especially on some of the performance aspects of the OBOL trial in the forum post. You can go ahead and scan this QR code. Would highly encourage reading it because there's a lot of detail here, and you can learn more about how the OBOL testnet specifically went. But there's a couple of other topics that were discussed outside of just the testnet specifically. So there's more detail added to the Simple DVT module committee. This was initially discussed in the proposal. And as a reminder, this is the group of contributors that will be members of a multi-sig that are responsible for creating and executing easy track motions for the Simple DVT module. This improves the operational execution and efficiency for the module, rather than having on-chain votes for adding node operators when there will be many and there will be multiple waves of them. The DAO voted to give that responsibility to the module committee, and the module committee will be making very transparent posts on the forum thread as an ongoing basis before taking any actions. All of these easy track motions are also vetoable with LDO. So the module committee has the ability to create and deactivate clusters through the Simple DVT module to raise and lower key limits for those clusters, and then manage their individual manager address and the reward address. The manager address is the address they use in their cluster multi-sigs that represent their entries in the Lido node operator registry for Simple DVT. This committee will be made up of 3 members of the Lido node operator subgovernance group, 2 Lido DAO contributors, 1 OBOL contributor, and 1 SSV DAO contributor, and that will be the makeup. So the next point that's also talked about within the forum post is basically reward distribution. This is done with a set of smart contracts. First, there's a wrapper that was developed by the OBOL team. This wraps ST-ETH into wrap staked ETH and optionally takes a reward share. So the ST-ETH needs to be wrapped because the next set of contracts based on OX splits or OX splits itself does not support rebasing tokens. And OBOL also has a reward share. As a reminder, on the SSV side, they take their reward share via the SSV token and network fee. Once the wrapper is deployed, this is set as the reward address for all the clusters. And then there is an OX split of smart contracts that actually allows for the distribution of rewards to node operators. So this is the splitter that actually gives each node operator their respective share of the rewards for running the validator. And on the OBOL side, we're in the process of testing this now. Finally, we have another round of testnets coming, likely starting in the early spring. Would highly encourage anyone that hasn't signed up to do so. All solo stakers, all community stakers, and professional node operators are welcome to apply. The requirements here really are just having prior experience with OBOL or SSV. So there's plenty of time before the next testnet will start, at least a month. You can go onto the SSV website or the OBOL website, read their documentation, and you can get a testnet validator set up and just apply via this link, and you likely will be included. We're really looking for highly performant operators from this next testnet to also join the Simple DVT module. So it's a really great opportunity for people that want to run validators on mainnet and are interested in DVT. Highly encourage you to take part. If you haven't set up a validator before, you can go back to that prior QR code where the forum post lies, and there is a bunch of links to some workshops that were hosted by Lido community lifeguards explaining and teaching how to set up both OBOL and SSV validators. So that's what we have, and thanks very much.